Hi, it is a privilege to welcome you to Stand Up and Redo. It is a soulful, honest podcast hosted by me, Petra Demuse, a woman over 50 who is navigating life's most tender transitions with courage and grace. I have weathered the storms of 2 divorces, raised children into adults, embraced the joy of grandchildren, and learned, perhaps for the first time, how to stand comfortably in my own solitude. Each episode explores the profound wisdom that comes with age, the lessons etched in heartache, the beauty found in unexpected places, the laughter that bubbles up in the quiet, and the peace that settles when we stop running from ourselves. With reflections on love, loss, aging, happiness, and the sacredness of this one wild and precious life, Stand Up and Redo is a companion for anyone who's learning to live fully after everything they thought would last has changed. This is a space for late bloomers, deep feelers, and fierce survivors. Come for the comfort, stay for the truth, and leave a little lighter each time. Hi, welcome to Stand Up and Redo with Petra Demuse. I am thrilled that you are here. We are changing the platform of my podcast, and we're adding a YouTube channel, which is very exciting for me. I won't get into a lot of detail about that. This is my first interview, and I am so fortunate to first have met this person, Sasha, a wonderful girl who I've known since she was 15, and she's going to tell us a story of survival, honestly, grit and perseverance that is going to it's going to blow your mind. And it's going to give you inspiration. It's going to make you realize you're stronger than you think. You can get through things like she did, and you can survive all different situations, circumstances, and actually thrive. Not just survive, but thrive and get through some really tough times. So I have to start off by first saying, welcome, Sasha.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy that you agreed to this because I think your story is going to be so inspirational. And I have to tell you first a little bit about Sasha. Sasha moved here when she was 15 from Ukraine, and she moved with her mom, and she became friends with my children, my 2 daughters who are the same age as Sasha. So in high school, I was fortunate to have a house full of teenagers all the time, and she was one of those teenagers. And my girls, I don't know if you'll get to know my girls through time. They're a little bit saucy.
I can see that, yeah.
That's a good way to describe them.
Yeah.
Saucy, like spicy. I don't know. But if they're your friend, they're going to call you out. They're going to tease you. They're going to make fun of you. They're going to love you. But we had so much fun when Sasha was around because she was just learning to speak English.
This is where the embarrassment comes in.
Yes! So I'm not going to talk the whole time. I'm just going to tell one little story, and then we're going to start talking to Sasha. But I have to tell you, she came from Ukraine, and she grew up with her grandmother who, had a lot of old wives' tales and stuff. And so when she when she stayed with us a lot at my house, she would be like, I'm getting sick. I need to have some garlic. And I was like, so instead of eating just a little tiny clove of garlic, she would eat a whole bulb. And it was the cutest thing because, high school girls are worried about everything. But wherever she was in my house, I would be walking around like, what's that smell? And I would know that Sasha was in the house. I'm like, Sasha's here. And when I would drive the girls, sometimes we would take Sasha to school with the girls, and they'd be in the car. She'd be like, do I smell like garlic? Before we would take her into the school. But either way, they had a lot of interesting wives' tales, like knock on wood 3 times. And it was neat to see her bring that into our home when she would visit us. And then the other thing we would do, which was kind of mean, was she was learning English. And this girl knows 3 languages?
Yes.
So what do you know?
So I know English, Ukrainian, and Russian.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we would tease her if she didn't know what a word was. We would tell her it had a completely different meaning. So we were kind of mean that way.
Oh my God.
But it was all in love.
And I'm just finding this out now.
Yes. So, but I want to start off just with current now. Tell us what gives you drive. And I would love to hear a story about like whatever you want to share with us.
Well, just to add it to the video, so when anybody who knows me watches this, they know that I do not just eat garlic when I'm sick. There was a special circumstance because I didn't have health insurance and I was getting sick, and I was told that when you get sick, you're supposed to eat like garlic, onion, which I do not even like onion. But not that I still don't eat garlic. Like I eat it very like if it's like an Italian dish, but I'm not just gonna eat the garlic. So it was a special circumstance, okay? But it makes me feel awful because I'm thinking I went to high school smelling like garlic the entire time, and nobody said a word. But that was, past embarrassment. But in terms of what gives me drive, I would say probably conquering your fears. And like I think there's something about fears that makes us very vulnerable, and we get to find new things about ourselves through the fear itself. And really like it's kind of a place where your brain could freeze and you really don't know, like you can't really put on a mask and act a certain way because the fear just overrides it. So when you conquer it, I feel like in a way you're conquering yourself and you coming out stronger. So conquering the fears would be something that would drive me, at least since 2022. It's been a story that's been driving me ever since.
2022. Yeah. Neat. So what are you doing right now to conquer a fear?
Well, as you know, so I didn't know how to ride a bicycle, which is embarrassing. It just never happened for me. My mom doesn't know how to ride a bicycle either, so she never taught me. But I learned this summer, thanks to you. I learned how to ride a bicycle.
Whoops, sorry about that. We have no idea why that happened, but we're not going to worry about that.
Yeah. So I was learning how to ride a bicycle, and I did learn how to ride a bicycle, and I was doing 16-mile bicycle rides once a week because I needed to get really good at it really quickly. And now I'm going into what's the next step up for me from the bicycle, and that would be a motorcycle. So I'm learning how to ride a motorcycle. I'm going for my license, which is very exciting. But when I was younger, I remember Julie, a friend of mine, was teaching me how to ride a bicycle, and it just did not work out. Like I had a lot of bruises. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. So I never learned. When I was a teenager, I never learned. But now as an adult, when I have a little more control, and a little more understanding, I was able to, after falling a few times, I still was able to conquer it, and I learned it, and I feel much more confident, much more, like, I don't want to say that's the right word, but like even powerful a little bit, because you feel like, oh my gosh, like I got this. Like I got everything. So now I really want to try to get a motorcycle license. And another fear I have that I was thinking about is a fear of roller coasters.
Oh, I still have a fear of those. Yeah.
Well, my goal is to get on a roller coaster and just do it.
Oh my gosh.
Just got to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I do the same thing with roller coasters. Every time I get on one, I feel this incredible fear, and I force myself to do it. And after I do it, I say, I'm never going to do that again, because it's like, then I do it again because I'm like, okay, I'm afraid, I have to do it. Yeah. But I have to say, when Sasha learned to ride her bicycle, and what she said, how she felt a little bit like, I guess at first you felt overwhelmed, so you stopped, and then you revisited it again. So at that time, you couldn't address that fear when you were with Julie trying to learn. But later you thought, no, I'm going to hit this again. I'm going to do this again. And I think that's really neat. And when I have to say, when I was with her, I don't want to tell her I felt hopeless the first time.
Oh my God.
But we went to ride the bike, and I was behind her, and I got her on the bike, and she started riding, and she had her knee pads on. She had all the gear on. And that day, watching her ride, I was terrified. But then she told me, I'm going to do this by myself. I'm going to come out here every week and do it. She said, what do I have to do? I said, you have to ride with me. I'm not going to ride with you consistently because I don't have time. But our goal was maybe what we did once every 2 weeks or once every week for a couple times.
Yeah, when you were around.
When I was around. Yeah. But I said, you're going to have to come here by yourself and do this. And she did. And she did. She came by herself, and she did. And I went with her the second time. And just from her coming by herself and doing it, I saw such an improvement. And I was ashamed of myself because I thought she was going to be like, no, I can't do this. And I thought she's never going to be able to do this because she literally was falling over, going around corners. She couldn't go around corners
She'd fly down a hill. She
That
fell
was
like
the best.
5 times. She would just fall and be like, oh, I fell, get back up. And I was like terrified she was going to hurt herself. I was so thankful that she did have all the gear on. But I was so impressed with her, and I love that. And I think that's something to think about. Maybe the timing to address something isn't there or isn't the right timing, but put it in the parking lot and know you're going to do it later. And I loved watching her learn to ride her bike. And now we've gone on multiple 16-mile bike rides.
Yes.
We've gone on gravel, we've gone on the road, and she's done so well, and she's so confident. And I love that she does that. It is just wonderful. So,
but that's actually another thing, right? So as much as I love you, you had no faith in me.
Well,
But guess what?
Did I tell you that? I don't think
You did not tell me that.
Thank God I didn't tell you, because I was like, no, she can do this. It's because it's your will that does it. It's not me. Like,
well, that's kind of
you,
like the point.
yeah.
I did ask you how good I was, and you said I was like a 4. I think
On
you
a
would
level
be very
from
kind.
1 to 10.
Yes, from a 10. So I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter how silly I look, and I did look silly. I saw the video. I looked very silly. It doesn't matter how silly I look. It doesn't matter how people look at me, because end of the day, I know I'm going to do it. And that's all I need to know. That's really all I need to know. Everything else doesn't matter. Like,
you're right.
Yeah.
And you're right. And the thing is you can't be, I'm happy I didn't say anything negative to you, but in life, and this is something you will have people say negative stuff to you. I remember when I started school, I was struggling with, and it was an A&P class, and the professor, the guidance counselor pulled me in and said, you're failing. You need to drop this course. And I got so angry. I said, I'm not going to fail this course. I said, I just need to get my life back on track. I need to stop. Like, I was trying to do social. I was trying to do sports, social life, and study. And he goes, well, you're going to need to drop this course. And I was paying for school myself. And I was like, no, I'm not dropping this course. So I started studying every night. I would study till 3 a.m, and I got my grade up in that course and was able to do fine and get through that course. But he had no faith in me. Mm-hmm. He basically said, no, you're not going to be able to do this. He looked angry at me when I left his office. And I looked right at him and I said, no, I'm going to pass this course. And it's like, you know, in your heart, you know what your grit is, you know what you can do, and you can't let other people dishearten you. Mm-hmm. But it is nice when other people encourage you. Yes, that for sure is a good thing.
Even though they might not believe it 100%.
Yeah, at least they give you encouragement.
So you were there.
Yeah.
You were there with me as I was following through it.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that I could just brag on Sasha, and I feel like I could just go on and on. But I want her to tell her story, and I want her to tell her story about, and if I pronounce it wrong, Kyiv. Mm-hmm. Okay. I want her to tell her story about Kyiv and the Russian invasion, and I would love to hear. I want to start with one simple question. Did you believe it was going to happen? And when was the time that you realized, yes, we are being invaded?
So just to give a little background, we skipped that.
Oh.
Yeah, we did skip that.
Okay, well, we're going to go back. I'm going to tell, I skipped a really important part. So Sasha got through high school. You know, she was here when she was 15. She really learned English well. Her grades were phenomenal. She probably did better than a lot of kids who lived in the United States all their lives. But she like she went to college. I'm going to go to the timeline. She went to college. She started a career. She got married and started a family. And she wanted her child to learn the culture of where she grew up. Mm-hmm. So she was able to move to Ukraine and actually with her family start a home, get a really nice job, have a career that was moving forward. And she was in the midst of like being in a really good place. And that's where she was in Kyiv. And she still had her ties here with the United States of America. The United States of America, the U.S., I don't know. And she still had her ties here. But she was starting her life pretty much anew there. And not anew, but, you know, going back to her roots. Yeah. And sharing her life with her family in Ukraine. And in the midst of a good job, success, very successful. And then I want you to, that question about Kyiv, if you could tell me that story, that would be great.
So, yes, that was definitely one of the most defining experiences of my life. This is kind of where my belief of never say never, which sounds so silly. But honestly, from going through what I've gone through, I can say 100% that our lives can change in one day.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what you plan. It doesn't matter how good you are, how much savings you have, like what is your goal in life. It really nothing matters. One day, just like that, you might need to just restart everything right over. And at this point, I probably restarted my life, I don't know, 2, 3 times. I don't even know. But I'm happy that I was able to do it, which is kind of, goes well with the podcast of Stand Up and Do, which is what I'm listening to every week. But yeah, it's definitely, it was a defining moment. No, I personally did not think it was going to happen to the degree that it happened, which is probably the reason why we, stuck around. We didn't move. We just, stayed in Kyiv. Like it was actually, I remember it was a Thursday morning, and we got up like we typically do, and my daughter was supposed to go to preschool, and we actually, I think if I remember this now, it was I got up even a little earlier because we heard them bombing something not too far from us. So you actually wake up from the sounds of explosions, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't see it, but you hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look out the window because we live in the apartment. It's tall, nice buildings with the apartments, and you see people. Everyone's looking out the window. Everyone's on the phone. People saying goodbye. People starting to pack their cars and leaving, just because it was talked on the news about the possible invasion for weeks. And the reason why I think a lot of people, I'm sure some people did believe it, some people didn't, because media gets media finds a way to twist everything that's around you, and you don't know what to believe, because the invasion date was moving around. It was, oh, it's going to be February 16th. Oh, it's going to be February 2nd. Oh, it's going to be February 23rd. It was all these weird dates. And then it says, oh, it's not an actual army that's by the border, Russia and Ukraine. It's like inflated tank. Like, or it's just the training they pulled back. So you hear all these different media outlets. You really don't know what to believe. And on the day, you're just going to wait and see what happens. Because if you're going to live your life based on what you hear in the media, that's, I wouldn't say it's the most reliable channel.
Okay.
Because honestly, and media is great to get the news, but I would prefer to get past events from the media, not the future events. Like that's something that's not reliable. So the date of 24th, I don't remember if anybody actually mentioned that February 24th is going to be the invasion date. And then the president also came out right before that on TV and said, oh, everything's calm, everyone's calm, we're going to, like, I'm sure once Easter comes about, we're going to do shish kebabs, it's going to be a great time. So like he kind of calmed the country down because people were getting a little, nervous because of how much pressure the media was putting on everybody around. So, and I actually remember I posted an Instagram story with my mom because we went to sort of like a Home Depot type of store. She was shopping for a carpet or something like that, or maybe something for the bathroom. And I posted a story saying, oh, what do you do when you're about to get invaded? You go shopping.
I remember that.
But that was kind of a situation where, your brain is not going to panic. Because that's not really a way to live. Like I have job to do. Like my daughter has daycare. Like my family's here. What am I doing? But then the 24th, when you actually hear it, you still don't believe it. Like I still refuse to do anything. I put on like a morning channel, like a Good Morning, sort of like Good Morning America, but it was Good Morning Ukraine. So I put up a morning channel, and that's the first thing they said in the media is that we got invaded. Like this is not a test, we got invaded. Russia bombed certain objects. Like at this point, you need to get to the, underground, get to the subway, or you need to go get your families.
They were telling you to flee at that point. Was Mia at daycare? Or?
No. So daycare sent a message to everyone, pretty much closing its doors that morning before we even got there. So the daycare drop-off would be like till 9 o'clock. And they would send a message like 7 a.m. saying, we're closed today.
Okay.
So we never got there. But what really helped me out, and I don't know, it's really difficult, but this is my advice, and I don't know, actually, I really hope that no one ever has to go through this. But the company that I work for, the IT company, they really cared about the employees and about the well-being of the employees. So maybe a month or two prior to the invasion, when everything started to get talked about, they gave us it was kind of like a flyer, but it was like an electronic flyer, and they even had meetings where they talked about what do you do in case this happens. So they said, okay, you're going to pack an emergency suitcase, and this is exactly what you're going to put in the emergency suitcase. You need to have cash on hand. They specifically said next paycheck you get, and we got paid monthly.
Yes.
So next paycheck you get, you're gonna get it all in cash. You need to have it all in cash.
They did that. They gave you it in cash. Okay, good.
No, they
told
that,
you to get cash.
So you have to go to the bank and get it.
Cash it.
So I had that. You know, you put medicine, you put, emergency items. Like, what do you need for the first maybe a week or two? Because you don't know where you're going to end up.
Yeah.
Like, and then we didn't think about it too much. As the first thing you're gonna know, because Russia is north and east. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna go probably west, not even south as much. Even though some people did go west south because you go towards the European Union essentially.
Yeah.
But that's where everybody would go. So, and we can talk about the war itself and logistics of the war because there's a lot more stories I can tell you.
Yeah.
But being prepared, I was prepared. So when this happened, I was halfway there because we had cash on hand. The only thing I did not have was a lot of gas in the car. That was my mistake because I remember night before I thought about getting gas, but it was like a big line. So I was like, I'll do it the next day. So I maybe had a quarter of a tank. So that was a little scary. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
But that was the mistake. So since then, I try not to let my car go less than half a tank. Okay. Just for that specific reason, because it's very important in case of emergencies. But I was halfway there. So, and my mom lived, so I lived in like one building and she lived like two houses, in front of me. So we walked to my mom's and we said, Mom, this is happening. Like I told her, so this is happening. We need to go. She had a cat and she lived with a cat and she refused to go. She refused to go. She said she's going to stick around. And then she told me later she could not believe it that it was happening. Even though you hear it, actually she didn't even hear it at first. I had to tell her, and I still don't know if she quite registered it because she's obviously my mom. She's older, so it's really hard. Like you will be surprised, but your brain will tell you anything not to go into the panic mode. It's like a self-defense mechanism kicks in.
Yes.
And you will come up with anything in your head to calm yourself down.
Yes.
Which is, in a way, it's great because it's self-preservation. Like your psyche protects itself from freaking out. But at the same time, it made it very difficult because she did not go with us. And I have a 2-year-old child. I have to go. Like if it was just me, I would stay with my mom in her apartment. Because I have a child, I'm responsible. I am responsible for her life, for her well-being. It would be selfish of me to say, no, we're going to stay around when her life might be in danger. So we got in a car and we drove, essentially. We were going out of Kyiv, and the trip that could have taken maybe 2 hours probably took us like triple the amount. And I was really happy we had cash because, well, first of all, the whole Kyiv was in stop and go traffic. You see tanks going in front of you, ripping the asphalt.
That's a sight you've never seen before, right? So
yes, it was actually it was a little scary because like I'm right here, the tank is right here. Like I'm literally going around, and there's a tank right next to me. So if, let's say Russia was really doing some heavy shelling, and they want to hit the tank, like that's it.
Yeah, you're between the two tanks.
So yeah, and my daughter actually, because of what's going on, and even though she was close to 3 years old probably at this point, because if it was 2022, she would have been close to 3 years old. So she did not understand what was going on, but your children can tell just from your perception of what's happening. Because the entire time we were driving, which was very stressful, because you have cars stop and go, you have people walking, people took their cats and dogs and just walked out of the city to get to the next city.
Trying to not hit them.
Well, they were all going on the side of the road, and then people that ran out of gas, they had to leave their cars and just walk as well.
Okay.
But she could tell that it was a stressful time, and I started crying sometimes because my brother was in a different town, like different city, and my mom was at home and we didn't know what to do. And like you can't even turn around and go back because it was like a highway, and you have like a wall between the two lanes to go the other way. Okay. You can't get out.
So you're moving forward.
Yes.
Wherever you're going, you're moving that direction.
Essentially. So my daughter, she actually, like I gave her to watch cartoons because I needed to be distracted. And she actually opened the umbrella as we were going between the tanks. She opened the umbrella and she just sat under the umbrella watching cartoons. And it was
to
so
block everything else out.
Yeah, and it was so heartbreaking, but at the same time, I was like, wow, like you have a 2, almost 3-year-old doing that, and then she actually like she was potty trained.
Mm-hmm.
She reversed and she went back to not being potty trained, and I think is always the stress, right? Because you have to uplift her leg, you have to move. We're in a car full of things. It was really a hard time. Mm-hmm. But the cash really helped out for anyone that ever going to be in emergency situations, even when you have a tornado. Because I was watching Netflix documentary about Hurricane Katrina, I think it was. That's the first thing that happens. You need to have cash because gas stations could run out of gas. In our situation, gas stations not only ran out of gas, and we had diesel in the car, so that worked out because not every car drives on diesel, so we had a little more, like we had a chance to get diesel. The credit card acceptance machine turn off. Oh. And actually, they have ability to just turn off the service too if they wanted to.
Didn't credit cards not work at all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
so you couldn't even work even. Yeah.
Right. And some of it could have been done on purpose, right? Because if people are going to run to the bank when country's invaded, it's going to bankrupt the whole system because you're just going to pull the cash right out. And ATM's going to run out of cash as well. So everything was shut down. So you had cash. Gas stations, you go to gas stations, the food shelves were empty. Like people went into the mode where, we don't know what's going to happen. So we're going to take everything we can. So because we had cash, we were able to get more gas, and they put a limit how much gas you can get. Okay. So they said you can only get like so many liters of gas. You can't get more than like 20 liters, for example. And I think my car was getting 56. So we got I think we got to like half a tank at that point just to keep going. And we just kept going. We kept going. We drove to like 2:30 a.m. in the morning. Then we had to find a hotel. Everything was booked. We didn't know where to go. I found one hotel that accepted us, and we had to drive there in the middle of the night. And you have people just sleep in cars at that point because everything's booked out because people, driving, falling asleep. You're either going to get to the border, sit in the border for like 8 hours, or you have to get somewhere. And I wasn't ready to leave the country because my mom was here. Yeah. So I was like, I'm not leaving until she comes. Like I can get her back somehow. So at this point, we were in the West. And Ukraine is a pretty big country. It probably took me if you on a normal day from Kyiv to Lviv, it'll probably take us maybe like 6.5, 7 hours to drive there. Yeah, okay. But essentially because of the war, it took us, I don't know, double the time at least. So we found a hotel. We get there. It was completely dark.
This is just you and your daughter, the two of you alone.
No, so my husband was with us.
He was with you
as well.
Okay.
We got to the hotel. Everything was dark because at that point, because we knew Russia was bombing, they turned off the lights at all the major cities. So as the plane goes over, you can't see where people live. So it was completely dark. We found a hotel based on GPS. We got there, they opened the gate for us, put the car in, and the lights got turned off again. And then we went into the room. So it was completely dark. You have no idea where you're at because imagine an entire city having no lights on.
Did you have flashlights?
On the phone.
On the phone.
Yeah, and they turn it on for
So that's something to put into that suitcase, a flashlight.
Yes, absolutely.
Extra batteries, probably.
Flashlight, batteries, medicine, cash, clothes, any of your important documents, right? Passports, birth certificates. Because you never know, because if, God forbid, something, let's say your apartment, your home was on fire. Who's going to go and look through it? Nobody. Some people, the most devastating thing is some people didn't believe they were going to be gone for a long time. They left their pets behind. And some pets actually died because of hunger and thirst because they couldn't go back.
We could have let them loose even. That's a shame.
Some did let them loose. And loose was actually, that's what they were talking about, is that letting the pet loose was much more humane, right? Than letting them be stuck. Because you didn't know if you can come back, and you don't know what happened to those people that left. Because there were stories where someone went to get their parents, and their parents were in Irpin, which is where Russia actually, physically was present, and they got shot in the head on the drive back. So, and it was, it was really awful time. And actually, one of the worst nights of my life was that night, because we got to the hotel, and then on the news they said, because they turned into a 24-hour news channel. Everything was the same news on all the channels, just so you know what's going on from what they could.
It's just like an information channel.
Essentially, yes. And they said, everyone who's in Kyiv, you need to get underground right now. You need to get in the basements. You need to get in the subways. And it was like my mom was there. and they're like saying, "Oh my God, it's you're gonna get bombed right now." And I'm on the phone, like I can't be on the phone with her. She gets bombed because like you don't like, you know. And oh my God, I cried so much. Like now I'm talking about it.
I
It's a
know.
little stressful.
Yeah.
But that was awful.
Yeah, I was thinking of your mom not being with you would be awful.
Yeah, that was. I mean, that's very difficult because your parent is away and there's nothing you can do. Like you can't go
And
back.
you didn't have? Did you have cell phone service? Where you
We
could
did
call
have cell
her?
phone,
So you
yes.
could call her
We
still
could
at that
call
time.
her, yes. But she was, she was getting stressed out too. And she was telling me being in those, let's say bomb shelters, right, which were essentially basements, or you have to go in the subway stations. Those were actually safer than even the basement would be. And she said it's so difficult psychologically, like mentally, because you're going to be around children, you're going to be around dogs, you're going to be around older people, like, and you're going to hear kids screaming, you're going to have adults crying. Just psychologically, it is so difficult. And if you hear the bombs go off on top of you, like add that on, it's definitely, I would say, probably most of the country has like PTSD at this point, just because of what's going on. And I've been inside the country at least twice at this point, and when you hear the sirens go off, right? So you know, oh, the drones are coming, or something else is coming. Like now, at least the air system is much better, so we have planes that could take them down. But not everything is gonna, let's say, get shut down. Like when we were driving to the west, we had jets fly over us, and we didn't know they were our jets or Russian jets. And one rocket, and that's kind of the end.
Yeah.
So you really have a lot of time to rethink about your life. So yeah, that was my morning of February 24th, 2022.
Wow.
So yeah,
that's a big deal.
Difficult.
So thank you for sharing that, and I am impressed that you could say it just so from beginning to end, and you held it together. I could tell you were getting ready to like get a little emotional there. I think for us and for me as a woman who's grown up in the United States, I often think we're so safe here, we're so blessed, but I also think we can't be so naive not to realize that anything could happen, right? So I do believe in keeping like that suitcase ready to go with the extra batteries and the flashlight, some food, I guess.
With charges.
And I'm ashamed I don't have that right now.
Water as well.
Yeah, I'm actually ashamed that I don't have that. So after this podcast, I'm going to stand up and redo and go make a suitcase for myself. And I like the idea of a suitcase because I always think you have to have some kind of big Tupperware container. But I kind of like the idea of a suitcase because if you think about it, you're going to need wheels, you're going to need a handle. You might be holding other children.
Your car could stop.
And you might need to drag your suitcase with wheels. So a good wheeled suitcase is going to be, and I actually think I'm going to take my old suitcase because I want to get a new suitcase anyway and make that my ready bag. I love that idea.
Let's hope it never happens.
Yes, let's hope it never happens. And I always say to people, have cash. And some people like kind of poo-poo that or make fun of me when I say that. I've had that happen a lot. They're like, oh, you can get it out of the bank, or why do you keep cash? And actually, I don't keep cash in my house. I shouldn't say that. I keep it somewhere hidden. But I do think you should have cash available, like you said, to get gas, or even if you have to like barter for a hotel room, or I would think anything. You might need to pay somebody for a service, like say you need someone to help you change a tire that went flat, and you want to pay a person to help you with that. Hopefully they won't rob you. That's horrible that I think that way. But I just think that's the smartest thing. And I loved the story about how you told your work, how they shared that with you a few weeks ahead or a month ahead, and it kind of gave you direction. And it's interesting that something as simple as putting a ready bag and being ready to go, we need direction on, but we do. And we don't think of things like that we would need even something as simple as Benadryl in there for if your child gets stung by a bee or has an allergic reaction to something. So I'm going to pause this for a minute. We're going to take a break, and then we will be right back. Okay, this is chapter 2 of our story of the Russian invasion and fleeing from that. And in part 2, Sasha has already fled from Kyiv, and now she realizes she needs to flee from Ukraine completely. So I'm going to let her start with her story. I've heard a little bit about the story, and it is moving and touching. And if you have daughters, dear God, when you hear the story, you're going to just want to hold them tight and love on those daughters, because it's an exciting story. So tell us, Sasha, about your fleeing with your just 3 women together. I'll let you tell the story. It's exciting.
So at that point, so we were in Ukraine probably for a month at that point, and it was my mom. My mom made it over to the West, thankfully. She made it over. It was partially by train, partially by some people that asked to, she asked if she can go with them, and they let her take a ride to a certain train station, and then she took the train down where I was. And we were up in the mountains at that point, at the Carpathian Mountains, so west south, on the border with Hungary. So, but the problem was, so invasion wasn't stopping. We really were hoping it was going to be a short situation. Like, they get in, they, figure their political situation out, and they'll get out. They were not getting out. So it was continuing. Like, people know what to do. People were still fleeing. It was a very long situation. Then people started going to the West more so. And people that we were with for a month at this point, they said, well, we have to do something. We have to leave as well, because you got to think about it. Some people couldn't go back to work, so there was no paychecks, right? So the savings could be running out. You can't go back to your house to get any of your things. So you kind of need to go and, buy things that you need, especially if you have a small child. You need to have different things. God forbid you have an infant. If you're breastfeeding or not, you need to find formulas, diapers. Those things go the quickest.
Wow. Yeah.
So it was a situation where once my mom got to us, we had to, we were pretty much told the people that we're staying with, and it was actually, I want to say it was over 9 people in the house. It was with kids, it might have been 13. And the police started going around and asking who's from where, who's staying here. So the government was trying to understand, I guess, where people went, who actually stayed behind. So we stayed behind, but then the people said we have to go. Essentially, nobody can stay here anymore. It was in a small village, and they said we have to go to the West as well, because it's not sustainable. Like, we need to go. Like, I think her husband was in Germany, and she was gonna go to Germany with her kids. And she said, everyone essentially has to find where to go at this point, because obviously it wasn't long term.
Yeah.
At that point, my job had shut down as well, just like everyone else. So we've decided that we have to go to the West. Like, we need to go west. We had no idea where to go. My sister-in-law kind of found a way to settle a little bit in Germany, but it wasn't quite settlement, because it was just, they give you a place to live for essentially when you get there. So she was in Germany, so we knew, okay, well, if anything, we can start at least making our way to Germany. And see what happens. But we had nothing lined up. Like, most of the people that were coming up the trains, that, let's say they put you, because men cannot leave Ukraine, because they shut down, the borders for all the males because of, the army. So they would put their families on trains, and they just say, you go west, and let's hope,
men,
everyone was hoping it would essentially work out. Thankfully, that's when you have Red Cross and other organizations would step in. They would get you to train stations and try to settle you somewhere. So we had a car. So my mom and me and my daughter, we got in a car, and we just drove to Hungary. And from Hungary, we made our way to Austria. From Austria, we stayed in Austria overnight. So I pretty much drove from Ukraine to Hungary to Austria. We stayed in Austria overnight. And then from Austria, we went to Germany. I think it was South Germany where we ended up being, Stuttgart. And that's where we found a place through booking.
Oh yeah, this is the story. Oh my word.
We found a room through booking that looked like a very nice room. And we were like, okay, like, we need a place to stay overnight. We don't know what we're gonna do. Maybe we'll go back up to Poland. Like, we really had no idea where to go. So we essentially found a place to stay overnight, and it seemed nice. It seemed nice at first. We walked in, it was just a room. There was no one in the house. At that time, a big, how do I want to say this? Human trafficking became a huge problem, especially for Ukrainian women. There were stories on the news, and actually Germany had huge flyers printed out, and any any center you go in Germany, and I forget what they're called now, but essentially like any like welfare center you're going to go to register and get housing or whatever, they had big flyers on the walls, and they said, do not talk. Like if a stranger approaches you and offers you stay and meal, do not go with them. Because we had women that were stolen, essentially kidnapped from train stations, and nobody knew what happened to them. They were just gone. Yeah. So that was a big, like that's kind of a big.
And imagine if that woman had a child and was left behind or something. I can't imagine.
Yeah, I mean, there's still, you can still hear stories of like crimes happening, but I remember back then it was a big story because they had to talk about it openly and say, do not, if you get approached by someone, do not trust them. Go to find someone who's actually official, has an official tag or something, because it happened. It started to happen. So, and obviously, if you think about it, you're a woman. You don't speak the language. You got to a foreign country. You're distraught. You're such an easy prey. You're such an easy prey.
And you don't have any money or food or shelter,
right? Because it's euros, right? It's not Ukrainian currency. You need to find where you're going to find a place that will accept Ukrainian currency and exchange it to euros. It is not as easy as you think. So it was definitely a very stressful situation for all the women in that case. So thankfully we had a car, and we had some savings. So we found a room through booking, and I was like, okay, we're going to stay in this room. And it seemed fine. We went to a grocery store. We came back. Well, let's just say we came back to an apartment that had at least 8 men, just men, there. So my mom and me and my daughter will walk in, and there's 8 men essentially having dinner. So that was scary. We walk in. They didn't say anything to us. They just looked at us. We saw them, and we just ran to the room. Well, not ran. I wouldn't say ran. We walked to the room because I don't want to alert anyone. We got in a room. There's 3 beds in the room, and they all really close together. And the door is it's not a deadbolt door. It's not a metal. It's a regular, like a bathroom door. You can just kick out in a second if you want to. So we're we can't sleep here. In my head, I'm we cannot stay here. There's at least 8 males behind this door. We didn't have our own bathroom. We didn't have our own shower. We didn't have our own kitchen.
Okay.
We're an easy prey. There's nothing we can do to protect ourselves. There's not a single weapon or nothing you have to protect yourself with. I have a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old mother.
Oh God.
What am I gonna do? So essentially, I said okay, we're just gonna go. I'm gonna find the closest hotel. We're gonna go, and we did not undress. We pretty much took our stuff, and was as quick or slow as we walked in, we walked out while they were having dinner. I really if we stayed there longer, I probably would have been putting my family in danger, just because the men I don't know if they spoke English. They didn't speak English, so they spoke to themselves. They were not German nationals.
So they weren't even German nationals.
They were not German. I think from the looks of it, they were Middle Eastern. I don't know what language they spoke, because we did not talk to each other, but they definitely witnessed. They definitely looked at us as they were eating dinner. I think the only reason we were able to kind of go in and out without a fuss because they were having dinner. Yeah. Because they were mostly sitting. But that was a very extreme situation.
Wasn't there another room that had some guys in it cooking or something? Or
that's what they were cooking. So they were having dinner, and then 1 or 2 were cooking, pretty much not too far from our door. Yeah. Yes.
And then you said well, obviously the pictures of the place when you got there didn't look like the pictures.
No, it did not look
that was another thing you said. They had yellow sheets, and I felt like you said the room was not as clean as you thought it would be, or what it looked like in the pictures.
The room was pretty much, you take a very small bathroom and you put 3 beds in there, one close to one another, they all touching, and that was the room. Okay. It was I think it looked almost like it could have been an attic or something. Okay. The window was coming up on the roof. You can't even get out. It was
so you're trapped in that room.
Right. There was no place to go.
You couldn't run. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was something else you said about I thought maybe I'm imagining it. Another room that had a sign on the door that made you feel uncomfortable. Maybe I'm not remembering, but the visual of the place, when you were describing it to me the first time, it blew my mind. It just there was something.
But it could be too that you remember. Maybe I don't at this point because they blocked it out.
Because it said videography. I don't know, a room.
No, what happened was there was right next to that apartment, 2 guys were doing videography, photography. Yeah. And we saw them it was like we're talking on like a walkway pretty much
Yeah.
between the two apartments, and they saw that we're staying there, and they like really looked at us very concerned.
Okay.
But they didn't say anything to us.
There's those gut things that were happening to you like that.
They just looked at us.
You
like,
told me those stories, like
yes.
yeah, like why are you, or just things like that were giving you like a red flag to get out.
But why didn't they say anything? Like that kind of what bothered me. Like they could have said something.
Yeah.
They didn't say anything. Just they looked very concerned. They asked why we were staying there, and that was the end of the interaction. They could have warned us. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So, essentially, we got to the hotel.
Yeah.
And
you had to drive. Oh, God, this hotel. The hotel where all the
hotel was nice.
Okay, when you went to the next hotel.
Yeah.
But okay, you also told me you were exhausted.
Of course, yes.
And you were so tired to even get to that place, and then you
Yes.
had to now get in your car and drive even more hours, right? Didn't you go like much further then?
Yeah, we had to go a little further.
Mm-hmm.
And again, at this point, like I don't know Germany that well, so I don't know which direction I was even going.
Yeah.
I just saw it. I was like, okay, this is the place. They have available room because a lot of places were sold out too.
Yes.
So I found a place. I found a room. It looked nice. This is where we're going. And we got lucky. They had parking. It was a good hotel. So and we paid for 2 nights. And you have to I give them a passport to register. I paid for 2 nights, and I had no plan. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing after this. I need to sleep. We need to eat. They had breakfast. It's like we need
and feel safe, right?
Essentially, yes.
Somehow
it was
as best you can.
It was really a situation where you have no plan. You just gotta that's one thing I still do today. Sometimes when you have no plan, and this is advice for anyone, if you don't want to freak out and panic, 1 hour, 1 minute, 1 night at a time.
Yeah.
This is the most. If this is the most you see ahead of you, then this is what you're going to get until you see something further.
And accept it and work with it, right? And make it work the best you can.
Yeah, and this is kind of with the story where I say, if you are, and you hear this story multiple times for multiple reasons, but let's say you're in a foggy forest, right? It's a foggy forest, and you see nothing in front of you, just standing, and you see nothing. Is just a fog. What do you do? Freezing when you have a 2-year-old is not an option. I have people rely on me, like my mom, my daughter. I'm the driver. I'm the responsible adult. No one else can help me. Like I speak enough English to figure my way around, Germany. Like I'll figure something out because I have all the resources. I need to essentially make this work. No matter what, I have to make it work. So in the foggy forest, what I would do is what I did in that situation. You just take one step at a time. One step at a time, until at some point you're gonna get somewhere, right? So that's essentially what I ended up doing. And some things happen for a reason. And I know you believe in that, and I know you believe in
sure.
Certain spiritual things happening to you. So when we were there in the hotel the next morning, there was a guy from Syria who found out our situation, and he's like, what do you do after this? I said, I don't know. I was just honest with him. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing after this, essentially. And he actually had a contact of someone in Germany who didn't live too far from the hotel. They had an empty office space because it was a COVID. Germany was still recovering from COVID, so not everyone went back to work back in 2022. So they have an empty office space. And he said, they will give you a room to stay. If you have no place to stay, they will give it to you. So I called, and they gave us a room to stay. It was literally an empty office. It was 2 mattresses that they got us to sleep on. I think they gave us the pillows, the blankets. There was a kitchen there that we could cook on, the bathroom, no hot shower. But essentially we made it work. So we stayed there for maybe I want to say we stayed there for over 2 weeks. You look like you're going to
cry, but it doesn't matter. It makes me feel good that you're safe. That's all, that you felt safe for a moment.
Well, we stayed there for, now you're going to make me cry. We stayed there probably for, I want to say maybe 3 weeks. I can't remember at this point, but Germans were very nice. And I appreciate it. He'll never see this podcast, but if he ever does, I'm so thankful that we met him because he gave us, a place to stay for free. And that was the moment where we kind of relaxed a little bit, because my plan wasn't for an hour or a minute or a day. It was for a little longer. And I was like, okay, I have in between to figure out my next step. So we ended up going to a welfare I guess building or office, and they said, well, we have a place to stay. Like at this point, there was such a flood of refugees from Ukraine that a lot of people were staying at the gyms, like big auditoriums, essentially, and sleeping there until they found something.
Yes.
In Germany, it's very difficult to find a place to rent. I mean, even in the United States, right? You need to have proof of income, pay stubs. So in Germany, you also need to have someone to vouch for you, like a neighbor or someone who knows you. And we don't know anyone. So they found a place to stay for us in like a welfare, like a dorm essentially. But that was a story on its own as well. We get there. It was on the third or fourth floor with no elevator, and I have a 3-year-old essentially, and she has to walk all these steps with me, or have to carry her. It's not easy. The room had we got into the room. You can tell the room was kicked out before by someone because you can tell that the doorknob was either broken or there was certain spots on the door where you can tell it was pretty much kicked in.
Yeah, damage.
And they replaced the lock or something, but you can tell it wasn't the best place. We go in, the floors were sticky, the beds were bare. They gave you mattresses you could have put on, but it was one of those like metal beds, like those metal springs.
Yeah.
So it was the bed like that. Yep. And we were sharing it with other refugees, which wasn't a problem, but I was concerned for the safety because there was a family or couple. There was a man there too, and he, like, I remember being there, and he started fighting with his wife, and it was just not like. I was thinking for a 2 or 3-year-old, it was just I'm always concerned because let's say I find a job in Germany, and let's say I found a job, I have to leave.
Your daughter, with
my daughter, my mom, like they will know what to do. My mom would know what to do, like where to go. So I got concerned about her safety. So I was considering, well, it's not going to work out long term. We cannot be living in this office the entire time because at some point they're going to go back to work, right? So we considered going to Poland, just trying out another country. And then thankfully I talked to you and you reached out and you said, if you need a place to stay, I was like, well, there's got to be a sign. We're in a situation where we need to figure this out. And I talked to you and it worked out, and I was really happy. And I remember we got here, and my daughter, you can just tell my daughter, she just like a 3-year-old who doesn't, like, at that point she turned 3. I just remember she got upstairs and in her little room, and she just like took like a big exhale, and I was so happy because she's like, I've gone through hell. She's gone through her own little hell for her age, and it was just, for me as a mother, it was so gratifying to see I got my daughter to safety. Yeah, like it's not about me, but I got my child to a good place. So that was quite a story.
It was a story. My gosh. And on my end, I'm just like, la di da, living here in the U.S. I'm like, And I kept reaching out by instant messenger because we couldn't communicate any other way. I don't think you were afraid, I think, to even communicate about things. So every so often I would get an instant message, but not that often. And I did offer the place right away. And then I didn't know if you seemed like I didn't know what you were doing. So I thought, well, then all of a sudden you were going to move in, and like you asked if you could come, and you had like a 4-week plan, maybe a 6-week plan. It was weird. You had like a 6-week. You said, well, in 6 weeks, can we come? And I was like, yes. So I, at that moment I was so thankful to have you in my home, because I was alone in this house. And I had actually been living in, there's a thing called a little room that I had a double bed in. My bedroom was completely empty with no furniture in it. I was divorced. So I was still living in this little room that wasn't a little, it's actually a big room. It's the room over the garage. I was sleeping in the room that I let you and Mia sleep in. And when I was in that room, I was a little depressed, and I had to fix up my bedroom to get new furniture in my bedroom, because my goal was to move back into my bedroom and then have the room that I was sleeping in is kind of where the kids would play and stuff, my grandchildren. So, but I was lazy. I wasn't fixing the room up. I didn't care. Like, I didn't care about anything. Like, I was just, knew I needed to furnish that room, and I was like, I really didn't care about furnishing that room. So once I found out that Sasha and her family were going to move, her daughter was going to move in with me, it was interesting because I thought I had this time period. I had 6 weeks. So I had started paying my daughter, Julia, to paint the room for me. And I was just thinking, okay, I'll get my room set up. I'll move back into my room. And then when Sasha comes in 6 weeks, she can have this room that I'm sleeping in, because I had just a double bed in it and I had a couch and a TV. And I thought this is a perfect place for her to feel comfortable and be in her own space. It's kind of like a weird, like long room above the garage. So all of a sudden you called and you're going to be there like in 10 days or something. You're like, is it okay? And I could tell you felt so bad, which is so weird that you felt bad, because I'm like, I have this home that is welcome and open for you. And I'm like, no, of course. But then here you are telling me you're sleeping on the floor to office and not to worry about fixing anything up. You can sleep on the floor. It doesn't really matter. You don't need a bed. And I'm like, but my brain is like, no, I'm going to have a bed for her. I'm going to have a bedroom all set up. So in like this short time, I remember I didn't have a bed, and I didn't really, at that point, couldn't afford to buy like a new bed for my room. So all these people helped. Like my friend Jess gave me a bed out of her garage that she was getting rid of. It was sitting in her garage and it had a mattress, and I had to put the bed together. But I remember I had to order a day bed. I ordered a little day bed for Mia, and I thought she's going to have a stuffed animal. She had the little chair. I'm going to put pretty bedspread on the bed. So when she walks into the room, it's going to be for her to feel happy and for you to feel comfortable. So that whole room was going to be their room. I cleaned out the closet, I think, which is really hard for me to do. I think I cleaned out like a whole part of the closet for her to have part of the closet. But I was trying to work and do all this. And the night before you came, it was like the night before I'd gotten my bed, because I was still sleeping in that bedroom. Okay, see the staircase here? This is my story. Queen mattress by myself. Ooh. Me alone.
Yeah.
Turned it up. You know what I did? This is if anybody has to do a mattress by themselves, I just went like this, and I just kept turning it on itself. Oh. I got a whole entire box spring and mattress up that thing by myself. I was bound and determined to have my place ready to sleep in, your place ready to sleep in, Mia's bed put together, my new bed put together. You have new sheets, everything fresh and clean with space for your stuff. And that way you felt like you had your own space. And I was so happy that you came in and it was set up, and you kept telling me, no, don't worry about it. I was and here, like, my stress is so minimal to your stress.
Well, I mean,
what you're going through.
At that point, I would have slept on the floor.
Yeah. And then having them at night, I could cook for someone, and I loved you. You did buy me groceries a couple times. She insisted on buying me groceries, and I didn't care if she did or not. And I know your mom helped with groceries too, and just, it was wonderful. They were very, I wanted her to feel like she had a safe place. I wanted you to feel safe. And I was excited to actually have somebody to cook for her. It's kind of sad.
Well, maybe we came to each other's life in the right moment.
And even, and I still remember Mia jumping up on her little chair waiting for her dinner. And just, I remember you just coming home, because right away, I think did you start working right away?
So
did you work when you were with me?
Well, yeah. So we got here. I remember.
Oh yeah, tell your part of the story. Yeah.
But that's what happens when you go through a mental situation. Mm-hmm. Some things will stay in your brain, and some things you will black out. So I remember we got here. I think it was April 16th of 2022, and 17th, and I got a job May 2nd of 2022. Mm-hmm. So because I told myself I need time to find work. I need to put Mia in preschool, because who's gonna watch Mia while I'm going to work? I need to get a car, because it's like I can't, where we live, I can't walk to work at this point. So I got a car. I started going on interviews, and I was able to get hired pretty quickly. So in May, I had a job. Mia started preschool probably first or second week of May. And I found a place to live in June. Mm-hmm. So really quick.
This is just like the bike story.
Yeah.
I'm watching Sasha fall off the bike and thinking there's no way she's going to be able to ride this bike in the time limit that she thinks she's going to do it, or at all even. She moves in here, and I, in my brain, was thinking year limit. I was thinking logical too, like, because I know that we talked about money and payment and rent and all that, because this girl's extremely responsible. She did not want to take advantage of me. But at the same time, I needed her to know that she felt welcome at my house. So I think I said, just chill out for 6 months. At the 6 month point, you can start paying rent, because I knew she was a very responsible person and she wanted to pay me, and I was refusing payment. But I thought, well, if I give her this time period, 6 months, you don't worry about anything. Because in my head, she comes at me, just gets here from fleeing from the Russian invasion from Ukraine, and she's in my house and she says, I'll only need to be here 3 months. I'm like, yeah, right. I'm like, just like the bike. I'm like, yeah, right. You're not going to ride that bike. Yeah, right. You're not going to be out here in 3 months. I'm like, what is she talking about? And I could not believe it. She worked her butt off. First, I watched her. It wasn't like she was laying around doing nothing. From the minute she walked in this door, she was looking for a job every night. She was on that computer. She was trying to get a job. It was like her job was to get a job. Then she did it. Then she was just driven every day, doing something, moving forward. She was not sitting, waiting for things to happen to her. She was making things happen. And I remember her saying the 3 month thing, and that's why I said the 6 month. I wanted her to feel comfortable. Like, I didn't want you to feel like you had to rush out. But just like the bike, I said, no way, 3 months, no way. And she did it. And I will never forget her telling me, I've secured a place to live. It was really hard at that time to find even places to live, because the market was one such that it was really hard to get an apartment or to get a place. And she managed to do all this, find a job, save money, get her daughter in preschool, work, save money for down payment, get into a home, into a place, and she made it work. And again, even if you doubt someone, this is my advice. If you doubt someone and you're like, what are they talking about? Don't say that to them. Just say, okay, all right, you can do this. And then just be ready if they can't to catch them. But she didn't need me to catch her, because she was flying on her own and she did a great job. And I was blessed to have you in my home. Just so you know, you were a blessing to me.
Thank you. Well, I was blessed to know you and to help me out of the whole situation. Yeah, but I will say one thing that I will never take for granted is kindness of people. People that surrounded me during that time. It's one thing you come to realize when you're going through such a traumatic or experience or just problems. They're nobody's problems. They're your problems, right? Everyone's typically you think about your life, you live in your own little, your space, your bubble. You don't think about other people going through multiple things. So when I was going through it, I expected nothing from anyone. Mm-hmm. I'm just gonna see where I land. I'm just gonna do what I need to do. I will do what I can, and at some point, something will work out. Mm-hmm. And I came across so many kind people. Mm-hmm. And even when we got here, when we were moving out, I found a place to live. We had nothing. We had no furniture. We had there's not a lot of clothes. It's whatever we found at the I almost said Humane League, almost at the German Goodwill is what I brought with me here, right? That I was able to put into a flight, that whatever they allowed you to put in. So not a lot of clothes, not a lot of shoes, no furniture. And we had you had a lot of kind people that were able just to give us furniture, and we kind of started. You pretty much start from ground zero. So I am never going to be afraid to restart my life again, because I know exactly what to do right now, because I've done this already. But yeah, everything was left behind, and it's just. Let me just tell you, you don't know what you are capable of until you do it. And now I'm not doubting myself ever again, which is why I'm very determined, which is why I'm trying to find new things that I thought I was never able to do, and I'm doing now. And I'm just gonna keep going.
So through all this, her whole life is a stand up and redo, right? I want to tell her my stand up and redo, which is going to be so simple. But then I want you to tell me your stand up and redo, which your whole story was. But I want you to think about that. But my stand up and redo is two simple things, very simple. First is to have that ready bag or that ready suitcase ready to go. Second, though, is not to doubt people. Is when someone tells you something, even if it seems so far-fetched and so outrageous, is to have faith in them. And even if you don't believe that what they're telling you is possible, and they do, don't kill their dream. Don't squash their spirit. Encourage them to do what their dream is and be hopeful for them. So that's my second stand up and redo. So now I would love Sasha to just, if she has any more of the wonderful story to tell us what her stand up and redo is.
It's hard because I just feel like I just go through emotions in life, and I would say for anyone, no matter what situation you go through, you're gonna feel sometimes like you don't know what you're doing. I'm telling you, like even the story, I think her name is Dory from Finding Nemo. Just keep swimming, just keep going, one step at a time. You will get there. The path will come to you. The people could come to you. Something will work out, but do not give up. But giving up is the easiest thing you can do. It's just simply not an option. Keep going, and you will be amazed, and you'll be so proud of yourself at the end of it.
All right. Well, thank you for joining our podcast. We appreciate you. We're happy that you were here, and we look forward to seeing you at the next Stand Up and Redo. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'd like to give credit to Sarah Gephardt for the cover page of this podcast. This podcast is a work based on the personal experiences, reflections, and memories of the speaker. The events described are true to the best of the speaker's knowledge and recollection. Some names, locations, identifying characteristics, and timelines have been changed or altered to protect the privacy of the individuals involved. In some cases, composite characters have been created or dialogue has been reconstructed based on memory. The intention of this podcast is not to defame, malign, or harm any individual or entity. Rather, it is to share the speaker's journey with honesty, vulnerability, and integrity. Any opinions expressed are solely those of the speaker and are not intended as statements of fact regarding any person, group, or organization. Listeners should keep in mind that human memory is inherently subjective and selective, and while every effort has been made to ensure accuracy, this podcast reflects the speaker's perspective and truth. Thank you.